Alrighty, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. What a pleasure to see you all here on this beautiful spring day. I want to thank you all for coming out. Please give yourselves a warm round of applause. It may be the only one you'll get all day today. Okay, I also want to say thank you to the amazing staff of Partners Detroit, Yeshiva Beth Yehuda, and Prime 10 for setting up this beautiful lunch and learn. They set it out so beautifully. There's delicious food. It's all set up so nicely with the source sheets, with our logo and everything. So let's give them a big round of applause as well. And special announcement, unfortunately, this is the very last week for one of our most beloved members, Perlina Bodzin, who's been coming here for years and years and years, but is moving to Cleveland, Ohio, to Beechwood, Ohio. We will miss her, and we give her a big warm of applause as well. I also want to thank the amazing organization, Torah Anytime. It's a website. It's an app. It's got thousands and thousands and thousands of lectures on every Jewish topic from hundreds and hundreds of speakers, most of them far better than I encourage you to check it out. Download the app, go to the website, peruse, find somebody or something that you like, and check it out. Okay, today we're going to be talking a little bit about sibling rivalry. I don't know if you've ever heard the question, what causes sibling rivalry?
Having siblings.
Exactly, having more than one child. Right? Having more than one child causes sibling rivalry. There's once, a mother, and she's got these two kids. They're always fighting with each other, and she hears them screaming and kicking, and she runs upstairs, and the older girl is pulling on her sister's hair, and she starts, screaming at her, and she says, "It was the Satan who told you to pull Jenny's hair." And the girl looks, she says, "That may be true, Mom, but it was my idea to kick her in the shins." So sibling rivalry is a fact of life. As a matter of fact, if you've ever said, "Oh man, I want to kill my brother, I want to kill my sister," you are not alone. The very first siblings in the history of mankind, Cain and Abel, did exactly that. And as a matter of fact, the killing of siblings is such a common thing that it actually has a term for it in English. The word for killing a sibling is fratricide, right? The killing of a sibling, a fraternal or relative. As a matter of fact, it was quite common throughout many of the ages, especially amongst the aristocracy. When you were second in line for the crown, and you were 55, and your brother was 57, and your father was on his deathbed, there was one quick and easy way to make your way to the kingship. So, fratricide was actually quite common. As a matter of fact, according to a midrashic account, Yishmael tried to kill Yitzchak. According to the Torah, straight out, Esav wanted to kill Yaakov. He says, "I will wait until the morning for my father, and then I will kill him." Right? So Esav definitely wanted to kill Yaakov. Esau wanted to kill Jacob. And now, those are all bad guys, though, bad players. What we want to discuss right now is the 12 brothers, 12 of the greatest siblings that have ever lived.
Yes.
The progenitors of the entire Jewish people plotting to kill their brother. It looks a bit strange, and we've got to get into this in depth, which is exactly what we do here this year. We're doing an in-depth dive into Genesis, so let's try to figure it out. However, before we get to that, we're going to do a quick precursor lesson because the Torah opens up the story of this whole thing with Joseph and his brothers with the following statement found in source number 1, Bereishis Lamed Zayin Aleph, Genesis 37:1. Vayeshev Yaakov be'eretz migurei aviv be'eretz Canaan. And Yaakov settled in the land of his father's residence in the land of Canaan. These are the generations of Yaakov, says the Torah. When Joseph was 17 years old, being a shepherd, he was with his brothers with the flocks. And he was a lad with the sons of Bilhah and the sons of Zilpah. He used to spend more time with the sons of Bilhah and the sons of Zilpah. And Yosef brought evil tales about them, about the brothers, to their father. Okay. Now again, we're going to get into the whole sibling rivalry thing. But first I want to point out to you an amazing Rashi found on this pasuk. And it's quoting a medrash. Rashi says, Vayeshev Yaakov. And Yaakov settled. The word to sit is yoshev, to sit, to settle, to want to be relaxed. Says Rashi, quoting the Midrash, Bikesh Yaakov Lasheves B'Shalva, Yaakov wanted to sit in tranquility. Kafatz alav rogzo shel Yosef, immediately. the wrath of the whole story with Yosef and his brothers, the sibling rivalry, the jealousy, the attempted murder, the selling into slavery, suddenly jumps on Yaakov. Sorry, Yaakov, no tranquility for you here. Continues the Medrash. Tzadikim mevakshim leishe b'shalva. The righteous want to sit in tranquility, which does not seem like an unreasonable request. Omer HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Lo dayam la tzadikam mashem misukan lem la'olam haba. It's not enough for the tzadikim that which is waiting for them in the next world. Ela shemavaksham lishev b'shalva ba'olam hazeh. They also want to sit in tranquility in this world. What's going on, guys? Tranquility is for the next world. Nothing like that in this world. And of course, the minute Yaakov wants to settle in tranquility, God says, not so fast, Yaakov. And sends him a whole nother corkscrew of events that would end up consuming the rest of his life. Or not consuming the rest of his life, but being part of his narrative for the rest of his life. So for starters, what we're being told over here is a very important message. You know, people say to me sometimes, Leiby, when are you going to, you gotta start sleeping more. And by the way, that's actually one of my little personal Kabbalos. One of the things I'm trying to work on during this time of Sphira is actually getting more sleep, because it is true, I need to get sleep more. But my common refrain to them is, sleep is for the next world, right? I'll sleep for all of eternity after I hit 120. In this world, I gotta do. I can't sleep. So, this world is all about earning. The future world is all about retirement. That's the retirement plan. I got to earn as much as I can in this world so that I can retire with the best eternity forever in the next world. Therefore, I can't just sleep. I got to do. So, the first idea here is just simple like this. The purpose of the Jewish people, and indeed not just the purpose of the Jewish people, but your purpose in this world is to struggle to achieve greatness. And only through struggle can we achieve greatness. That's why when Yaakov asks for tranquility, God says, no, here's some trouble. Because the path to spiritual depth is not paved by tranquility, but with toil. Your greatness never comes out of tranquility, but out of challenge. You rub up against a challenge, it challenges you, it bogs you down, you fight back, you get, like we talked about last week, you get stronger by facing off those challenges. So if you found that in your life you've been set with a lot of struggles, don't worry. It means that God thinks you have the potential to be great. If God thought you didn't have any potential, He would have just left you alone and let you live with tranquility, and you could have just been a mediocre person for the rest of your life. But if you've been beset with difficulties throughout your life, know that God sees you as great, and that's why He's trying to goad and coax more out of you with more struggle and more challenge, so you can raise yourself even higher and higher and higher. But let's even go a step deeper. What did Yaakov want to do? Yaakov wanted to settle with tranquility. Do you think that meant that Yaakov wanted to pull up with a reclining armchair, with a large, tall pina colada in one hand, with a little umbrella on top, and a comic strip book of Garfield classics in the other hand? Is that what you think Yaakov wanted to do? No, because we know about Yaakov already. We know that when Esav, his brother, was running around partying and hooliganing it up, Yaakov was Yaakov Ishtam Yoshev Ohalim. Yaakov was the man who was sitting in the tents studying Torah. We also know that when Yaakov was about to go down to 20 years of chaos in the house of Lavan, what did he do? He spent 14 years, like we talked about last week, sitting and studying Torah without putting his head down. So we know what he likes to do. If Yaakov does get a tranquility, he's not going to be spending his time on the beach with a Mai Tai. He's going to be sitting with a Talmud. He's going to be studying Torah. He's going to be praying. So it's not like he's saying to God, God, please, give me some time on the beach, a little Cabo retreat. No, he's saying, God, please, let me live with tranquility so that I can study Torah, so that I can pray, so that I can be closer to you. And God's response is, your Torah is a different Torah when it's earned through struggle. Your prayer is different prayers when it's earned through struggle. I know, God says. I've got faith in you, Yaakov. I know that if you are given tranquility, you're not going to use it to pick your feet up and relax and play Sudoku. I know that you want to study Torah and pray and get close to me, but I'm also telling you, Yaakov, a deep message. The quality of Torah studied under struggle. The quality of prayer. Calling out to God in the depths of our struggle and saying, God, help me. God, help me be a greater acceptor of my challenges. Help me be a person who appreciates the good even when I'm also beset by difficulties. That's a whole different level of prayer and a whole different level of Torah study. And that's what I want you to do, Yaakov. And that's why I'm going to give you challenges. So even when we're doing everything right, the challenges make that right things that we do that much greater. Okay, that is lesson number 1, not related to sibling rivalry, but an important lesson in life. If you find yourself beset by troubles and difficulties, give yourself a pat on the back. It means that God is working to coax greatness out of you. Okay, idea number 1. Idea number 2. Let's now move on to the brothers and the fratricide, or the attempted fratricide. And we're going to ask a lot of questions, so I want us to look at the sources first, and then we're going to have like 6 or 7 different questions on them, and then we'll come back and hopefully we'll have time to answer them all today in our class today. Okay, let's look at the actual text. We're going to read the text over here in English. This is again Genesis 37, 2 through 11. This is the history of Yaakov. Yosef, at the age of 17 years, would tend the sheep with his brothers. And the lad was with the sons of Bilhah and the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives. Yosef brought back bad reports about them, about the brothers, to their father. Now Yisrael, who if you remember was one of Jacob's names, right? Yaakov has 2 names, Yisrael and Yaakov. And we're going to see why does the Torah suddenly switch from the name Yaakov to the name Yisrael here. Because it just said, this is the history of Yaakov. And then it says, and Yisrael loved Yosef more than any of his sons, for he was a son of his old age, and he made him a long, colorful cloak, a kesonas pasim. Different discussions about what this kesonas pasim looked like. It was made of very fine silk. It was of different colors. Okay. His brothers saw that their father loved him more than all the brothers, and they hated him. They could not speak to him peaceably. Yosef had a dream and told his brothers, and they hated him even more. He said to them, listen to this dream that I dreamt. Behold, we were binding sheaves in the middle of the field. Behold, my sheaf rose up and stood straight. And behold, your sheaves surrounded it and prostrated themselves to my sheaf. So my stack of wheat was in the middle, standing up, and your stacks of wheat were bowing down to me. That probably is a great way to elicit brotherly love, telling all the brothers, I was standing tall, you guys were bowing down to me. Didn't work out well. His brother said to him, will you be a king over us? Will you indeed rule over us? They hated him even more because of his dreams and his words. And then he had another dream, and he told it to his brothers. He said, behold, I dreamed another dream. The sun, the moon, and the 11 stars were prostrating themselves to me. He told it to his fathers and his brothers. His father rebuked him and said to him, what is this dream that you dreamed? Shall I, your mother, and your brothers come and prostrate themselves on the ground to you? The sun and the moon are supposed to refer to the parents, and the rest of the stars refer to the other 11 tribes. Your mom's not around. How are we going to bow down to you? His brothers were jealous of him, but his father kept the matter in his mind. Okay. And we all know where it goes from here, right? The brothers go to tend to their sheep, and the father, Yaakov, sends Yosef to go check on the brothers, and the brothers see him coming, and they say, here comes the dreamer, let's kill him. And then eventually what ends up happening is that Reuven says, let's put him in a pit. They put him in a pit, and Reuven was planning to come back later and save him. And Yehuda says, you know what, why should we kill him? Let's sell him. They sell him into slavery. He goes down into Egypt. And because of that, the entire Jewish people end up getting down to Egypt, which we'll talk about in future weeks. Okay, so let's try to understand what's going on over here. First of all, what exactly does this mean that Yaakov says that Yaakov loves him more than all the other brothers because he was a son of his old age? So Rashi explains that. He's a son of his old age because he was born to him in his old age, which, by the way, of course, Binyamin was also born to him in his old age. Binyamin was even younger than Yosef. So we have to remember, is this giving us the full, complete picture? Number two, Onkelos translate it as he was a wise son to him because all that Yaakov had learned from Shem and Aver. Remember, Yaakov spent 14 years in the yeshiva of Shem and Aver. That's where he studied for 14 years before heading down to live with Lavan the slime ball. And that is, Yaakov taught to Yosef all that he learned in the yeshiva of Shem and Aver. And another explanation is that his features, he simply looked like Yaakov's. His facial features were identical to Yaakov's. He looked like him. Okay. Let's ask a bunch of questions. Number one, this whole parsha starts off with saying, this is the story, Eila told us Yaakov. These are the stories of Yaakov. But it's actually not the story of Yaakov. It's actually the story of Yosef and his brothers. So why does the Torah start the portion saying, these are the stories, the toldos are like the stories of Yaakov. This is the story of Yosef and his brothers. Question number one. Question number two. Why did Yosef bring bad reports about his brothers to the father? Isn't that Lashon Hara? Number three. Why did Yaakov love Yosef more than the other brothers? And why did he display favoritism to him? The Talmud says, by the way, be very, very careful from favoritism because of a few ounces worth of fine silk, it ended up causing that the entire Jewish people went down to Egypt and became slaves there, right? Because Joseph ended up going down into slavery because of this fine silk that his father made him, a special coat that his father made him, and that ended up causing that he went down into Egypt, and then the brothers followed, we got enslaved there. So the Talmud says, be very careful from displaying any favoritism. But why would Yaakov do that? Why would Yaakov make one son a special coat that he didn't make for the other brothers? It just doesn't seem like rational parenting. Right? Forget about like exceptional parenting. Yaakov was one of the great patriarchs. Why is he making Yosef a special coat that he's not making for the other brothers? It seems simply unfair. Last night, I'm putting my kids to bed. My daughter comes out of bed at about 8:30 at night. Daddy, it's not fair. Why does Rachel get to do this? I think she got an ISIS. Why does Rachel get an ISIS and I didn't get an ISIS? I said, honey, it's 8:30. Are you going to be a mommy one day? She said, yes. I said, are you going to tell your children sometime something and they're going to say it's not fair? She said, yes. And you're probably going to say to them, but mommy knows best, right? She said, yes. I said, well, daddy knows best. Go back to bed. Right? We don't have to explain everything to our children, right? That's just not a requirement. And the minute we parents think that we have to explain everything to our children, especially at 8:30 at night when they're supposed to be in bed for an hour and a half, we're in trouble. But at the end of the day, we have to ask ourselves, why did Yaakov do this? Quick pause for station identification. I'd like to make an incredible blessing for this H2O, the elixir of life. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol niyeh b'dvaro. Next, it wasn't only physical favoritism that Yaakov seems to show Yosef. It wasn't only that he made him a nice coat. He also showed him, surprisingly, spiritual favoritism. He teaches Yosef specifically. Again, that's what we read just before, source number 4. He taught Yosef all that he learned in the yeshiva of Shem and Aver. Right? What's the deal with that? What is the deal? Why does he specifically teach Yosef this information? It seems like not only is he giving him special silk clothing, he's also teaching him things that he's not teaching to the other brothers. And even more. If you want to teach Yosef all that you know, it doesn't say that he taught Yosef all that he knows. It specifically says he taught Yosef all that he learned in the yeshiva of Shem and Aver. Why did he specifically single out Yosef as question 1? But the next question is, why did he specifically teach him this material? What was unique about this material that he taught it to his son, Yosef? Next question. You would say, the brothers have a problem with somebody trying to be the king, right? You know, he says he's got these dreams, he's the guy in the middle, they're bowing down. The interesting thing is that at the end of his life, Yaakov very clearly says which tribe is going to be the kings of the Jewish people. Which tribe is that? Yehuda. As a matter of fact, in source number 5, we could see the actual verse. It's in the parsha of Vayechi, the last parsha in Genesis, when Yaakov is on his deathbed, and he's giving his children his final blessings. And this is what he says: Lo yasser shevet mi Yehuda. The rod will not depart from Yehuda. Now what this refers to is the rod of the kings. As a matter of fact, I was in England, and I went to the London Tower. And they've got there a lot of the special crown jewels. And you can see all these royal scepters, right? The kings used to have these royal scepters. It was a shevet, that's what it's referring to. And they're like these big, golden, elaborate. As a matter of fact, there are these, you'll see, they're like they're about this big, and they're very golden with crusted jewels and maybe a little crown on the top. If you look at, anytime you look at a picture or a video of the proceedings in the House of Commons or the House of Lords, in the Parliament in England, you'll see they also have like these big special rods just lying there on a table, kind of, which if you ever watch their parliamentary discussions, they can get quite heated. I'd be afraid to weep. That's kind of a weapon right there, you know what I'm saying? I mean, look, granted, here, if England's weapons are like a golden rod, unfortunately America's weapons are an AR-15. But, so definitely ours are worse, but, you know, it's kind of like maybe you don't want to keep that rod there, but Yaakov is specifically saying that the rod, the scepter of the Jewish kings, shall not depart from the house of Judah. And the one time that people tried to take it away from the house of Judah was during the time of the Hashmonaim, the Hasmonean dynasty, when the Kohanim took back the temple from the Greeks. They installed themselves as rulers, and we know that the entire Hasmonean family was absolutely wiped out in the revolt of one of their slaves, and the sages said they were punished for trying to take the scepter away from Judah, from Yehuda. Now, after Yaakov tells the brothers that Yehuda is going to be the king forever and ever, did they all start hating Yehuda? Did they all start saying we can't talk to him anymore? Did they become jealous of him? Did they try to kill him? Was there any attempted fratricide? No, there was not. So it seems like the brothers can handle somebody else being the king. So what's the deal with Yosef? Why do they want to kill him? And last but not least, just the most basic question. The most basic question, which we've sort of alluded to already, but how could it possibly be that the 12 holy tribes, okay, granted you hate your brother, but to try to kill a sibling? I mean, I joked around at the beginning, I said, if you ever said, oh, I hate my sibling, I want to kill them, you have good company? You actually don't have good company, right? Not many good people try to kill their siblings. And many, if any of you have had that thought at any time, you probably had it just as much of a thought as saying, like, I want to fly, right? You probably dreamt of flying too. But you never really considered it for a reality. You never thought about going to the top of a building and jumping off and seeing if you flap really hard, like really, really hard, and maybe drink a Mountain Dew first, maybe it will work, right? Because you know that's absurd. And the same way, if the thought ever crossed your mind, like, I want to kill my brother, it was that same kind of thought, like, not at all realistically. Whereas here, the brothers, the holy 12 tribes of Israel, literally are planning to kill their brother. How could this be? Man. That is our questions for today. Let's see if we can get them all answered. Okay. There are 3 patriarchs: Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. And we see a very interesting pattern emerge. We see that the patriarchs have multiple children, but their spiritual legacy always goes through one single individual. Avram Avinu. How many children does Avraham have? Say that again?
13.
8. In Avram's lifetime, he has 8 children. The 2 most famous ones, of course, are Yitzchak and Yishmael. Isaac and Ishmael. Those are the famous ones, but we'll see later. He has more. He has 6 more. Okay? We'll get to them in a moment. But let's first see. His main 2 children were Isaac and Ishmael, Yitzchak and Yishmael. And let's see what happens. Let's go to source number 6. Bereishis 21:9. And Sarah saw the son of Hagar the Egyptian, whom she had borne to Abraham, mocking. Okay? Sarah sees Yishmael, the son of Hagar the Egyptian, that she had borne to Abraham, mocking. What does mocking mean? Says Rashi, mocking is a reference to idolatry. And it brings sources there. Look at the source there. It's Rashi on the spot. He gives a source showing where the word letzachek, to mock, was used when the Jews were serving the golden calf. They got up in the morning to mock, to make revelry around the golden calf. So the first explanation is that it's referring to idolatry. Another explanation, it is referring to illicit relations. As we see when the wife of Potiphar wants to make the claim that Joseph was trying to do something to violate her in an illicit way, she says this man came to litzachek me, to violate me in a sexual way. So that's the second explanation. The third explanation is it means to murder, right? Let the lads arise and make sport before us, right? You know, like the Colosseum. Let's have the boys get up and make sport before us. Sport being, let's all watch them smash each other to death. Okay, so there's three different explanations of the word litzachek. Whatever it was, Sarah, wife of Abraham, sees Yishmael, son of Abraham, son of the other wife of Abraham, doing things that were inappropriate, whether on a homicidal, idolatrous, illicit relations level. He was doing inappropriate activity. What does Sarah do? Sarah comes to Abraham. And again, this is source number 8. Bereishis, Chaf Aleph, Psukim Yud through Yud Beis, Genesis 21, 10 through 12. And Sarah says to Abram, drive out the handmaid and her son, for the son of the handmaid will not inherit with my son Yitzchak. That's the way he's acting. I don't want him even around my son. This person who's acting in inappropriate behavior, I don't want him around my son. I want him out of the house. Drive them out. But the matter greatly displeased Abraham. Like, what do you want me to do? He's my son. You want me to kick him out of the house? The matter greatly displeased Abraham concerning his son. And God came to Abraham and said to him, be not displeased concerning the lad and concerning your handmaid. Whatever Sarah says, hearken to her voice. Why? For in Yitzchak will be called your seed. Which means that although you have more than one child, you've got Yishmael and you've got Yitzchak, Yitzchak will be your spiritual seed, and Yishmael will not be. Now, Abraham, after Sarah dies, gets married, and he has 6 more children. That can be seen in source number 9. Genesis 25, 1, 2, 5, and 6. Bereishis, Chav, Hey, Aleph, Beis, Hey, and Vav. And Avram took another wife, and her name was Keturah, and she bore him Zimran, 1, Yakshan, 2, Midan, 3, Midyan, 4, Yishbak, 5, and Shua, 6 more children. What did Avram do with those children? Go to verses 5 and 6. And Avram gave all that he possessed to Yitzchak, and to the sons of Abraham's concubines, Avram gave them gifts, and he sent them away from his son Yitzchak, while he, Avram, was still alive, eastward to the land of the east. So he takes his 6 children, who are not Yitzchak, and he sends them eastward. Interestingly, by the way, if you look at Eastern religions, Buddhism and Hinduism, Eastern religions, not Western religions like Christianity, if you look at Eastern religions, a lot of them have concepts that are very similar to our Jewish concepts. Meaning, if you look at like Christian theology from a Jewish perspective is absolutely non-compatible. Everything from the idea that somebody else could die for your sins, right? We have multiple verses in the Torah saying the person who has done the sin will die, and we're not going to carry each other's sins. We have the idea of human sacrifice, the idea of bringing a sacrifice for intentional sins in general. The Torah always talks about only bringing sacrifices for mistaken sins. I mean, the whole idea of Christian theology does not work with us. But interestingly, if you go to the Eastern religions, Buddhism, Hinduism, you start seeing concepts that are very in line with our own Kabbalistic ideas. Concepts like reincarnation, which we call Gilgul, right? We call this idea called Gilgul. There's a concept of the rolling of the souls, that your soul sometimes is in one body, then it leaves that body when you pass away, and then it rolls into another body. If you look at Buddhism, and it's like sort of its distaste for focusing on the material, right? Something that's very much in line with our ideas. So, and even the caste system, by the way, right? The Hindus have a caste system. It's a lot different than ours, but we also have a system. We have a system of Kohanim, Leviim, and Yisraelim. Again, it's not like there's no untouchables, there's no one I can't touch, there's no one I can't see, there's no one who's doomed to live a life cleaning out sewers like the untouchables in the Hindu system. And to this very day, by the way, we live in the year 2018, the untouchables still suffer in India. But but we also have this concept, there's different groups within the Jewish people. Christianity doesn't have any of that. So, according to some sources, it seems like Avram, the gifts that he gave to his children when he sent them eastward were some of the deeper Kabbalistic ideas which ended up animating their religions thousands of years later. But in any case, Avram has a total of 8 children, and 7 of them are cut out of the picture, leaving only Yitzchak as his spiritual seed, his spiritual continuity. Okay, great. Yitzchak has how many children? 2. Yaakov and Esav. Jacob and Esau. How many of them carry his spiritual seed? Only 1. Only Yaakov. There's a whole story which we talked about where Yaakov not steals the blessing, but rightfully asserts that which he acquired, which we talked about here, and gets the blessings. And not only that, but listen to the language of the blessing that Yaakov gets from his father when he is given ascendancy over his brother. This is source number 10. Bereishis Chav Zayin in Psukim Chav Ches and Chav Tes, Genesis 27, verses 28 and 29. And may the Lord give you of the dew of the heavens and of the fatness of the earth and the abundance of grain and wines. Nations shall serve you and kingdoms shall bow down to you. You shall be a master, listen carefully, you shall be a master over your brothers, and your mother's sons shall bow down to you. Those who curse you shall be cursed, and those who bless you shall be blessed. Yaakov is given the spiritual seed of Yitzchak.
Terrible.
And Esav no longer has the right to all the greatness that would become the Jewish people. And in that blessing, Yaakov is told, your mother's sons shall bow down to you. Now you have to understand what it's like to be the 12 tribes. They look back at history. They see, let's see. We've got 12 siblings here. Our grandfather had 8 children. 7 of them were cut out of the picture. They weren't deemed worthy. And because of that, they were cut out of the picture, and all the spiritual bloodline goes down through Yitzchak. Yitzchak, our grandfather, had 2 children. Esau is not deemed worthy, and he's cut out of the spiritual bloodline, and he's told that his brother will bow down to him. And now we're kind of looking around at each other, and we're a little bit uncomfortable. You know, they say in America, like 1 out of 4 people in America suffers from a mental health disorder. If you look at your 3 friends and they don't have it, you know. So, you know, they got 12 siblings here, right? And they're looking around, right? And throughout all of history, all the other patriarchs cut everybody out of the picture except for that one special one. And they're looking at each other uncomfortably. Like, who's getting cut out of this little pie over here? And then, one of the brothers starts coming around and telling these dreams about how the other brothers are bowing down to him. Sounds familiar? Oh yeah, sounds familiar. Not only that, but he's speaking negatively about his other brothers to the father. Oh, those guys aren't so great, Dad. You know that, right? Now here's the deal, guys. Very important. As we all know, was actually the case, none of Yisrael, he's got 2 names, Yaakov and Yisrael, none of Yisrael's children were cut out of the picture. When God changed Yaakov's name to Yisrael, the straight one of God, which is what Yisrael means, Yashar Kel, the straight one of God, Yisrael gets a very special blessing. And you can see that source in source 11a. Source 11a comes from the Babylonian Talmud, Tractate Sanhedrin, page 44a, and the Talmud there quotes a verse in Joshua. The verse there says as follows, Chata Yisrael. Israel has sinned, and they also transgressed my covenant, which I commanded them. And they also have taken of the consecrated thing, and they have also stolen, and they've disassembled, and they have put in their vessels. Said Rabbi Abba Bar Zavda, even though the people sinned, they are still called Israel. It doesn't say Chata Ha'am, it doesn't say the nation sinned, or Chatu Ha'anashim, the people sinned. It says Chata Yisrael. Israel has sinned, which indicates something very special. That the Jewish people, the children of Israel, even when we sin, God still calls us His own. The cutting out of the picture that happened with Abraham's children, the cutting out of the picture that happened with Isaac's children is not supposed to happen with Yaakov, i.e. Yisrael's children. Because we have a special promise. And this goes for every one of us. No matter what we did, no matter how far we have gone, if we've gone against God's covenant with us, if we've stolen and transgressed and done all that, He still looks at us and says, Chata Yisrael, my kind, my child has made some mistakes. I'm not cutting him out. So the tribes of Israel have this hope that maybe all 12 of us are going to make it through. Maybe now that our father is Yisrael, now that our father is the straight one of God, and we have a rule that Yisrael, when you're from the tribe, the offspring of Yisrael, even if you sin, you don't get cut out, maybe we're going to make it through. But it sure looks like Yosef is jockeying for position there. He's telling his father bad information about the rest of the brothers. And it looks like their father is in on it. Their father is displaying him favoritism. He's giving him extra clothing. He's learning more with him. And then Joseph is starting with these dreams of his brothers bowing down to him, which was the explicit language in the text when other people were cut out in the past. In their mind, my friends, in the minds of the brothers, Yosef is pulling a power play. He is trying to take the spiritual legacy of the Jewish people away from all of them and make sure that it only goes to one person. To them, it's very clear what game is being played over here. Now, you have to understand something about Judaism. We have a concept that says, Gadol hamachtio yoser min hargo. Someone who makes you sin is worse than someone who kills you. Why? Because someone who makes you sin is taking away both this world from you, because a sinner is generally a miserable person, and he's taking away the next world from you, because he's destroying your future and your legacy and your eternal life. However, someone who kills you is taking away this world, he's not taking away next world. So if someone comes to you and says, hey man, let's go get some cheeseburgers on Yom Kippur. Let's go get some cheeseburgers on Yom Kippur. Listen, no one's going to know, because they're all going to be in synagogue, right? The best time to go to McDonald's is Yom Kippur morning. Ain't nobody going to see you. Don't you worry about it. I've been doing it for 5 years. I ain't never seen nobody. We are going to be clean. Just make sure you wipe off the side of your mouth before you go back into synagogue for the Musaf. And this guy, and you're like, no, dude, come on, you're crazy. It's Yom Kippur. It's Yom Kippur. He says, Yom Kippur, Shmom Kippur. Look, I've been doing it for 5 years now. Has God struck me down? Guess what? It's been my most successful 5 years in business. Let's go. Come on, man. It's a lot of fun. You'll see. And he convinces, all right. The guy's like, are you sure? The guy's, yeah, I'm sure. And another one, another one bites the dust, right? Another one bites the dust. He convinces you to go with him on Yom Kippur, and you join the Yom Kippur McDonald Run Club. And then he convinces you to do this. Oh, you don't got to put on tefillin. You don't got to keep Shabbos. You don't got to keep kosher. You don't got to do this. And he slowly takes you away from the path of righteousness to the other side. That person is worse than had he just taken a gun and killed you. That's how we see it from a spiritual perspective. Again, because he's robbed you of your world to come, and he's robbed you of this world. Because living a life of evil, living a life of stealing and deceit, he teaches you how to steal. He's like, listen, man, you think your boss really notices? You think your boss really notices? Trust me, let me show you. We both work for the same company, different divisions. Trust me, I'm working here for 30 years. I know how to just skim off the top. This company's got so much fat. Did you read their corporate earnings? They made $11 billion this year. Trust me, there's a couple thousand in it that's got your name all over it. Let me teach you how to do it. And you start to steal a little from this one. You start to be a little dishonest to that one. And he slowly coaches you, unfortunately, to living a life of deceit and dishonesty. That person is worse than had he killed you with a bullet. Because had he killed you with a bullet, again, he would have robbed you of this world, which is terrible. But now he's turning you into an evil person in this world. He's turning you into a cheat and a thief and a liar. And he's robbing you of the next world as well. Now the brothers are faced here with one sibling who's trying to cheat all of them, not just out of their own spiritual place, but of all their descendants' spiritual place in the world. They believe Yisrael, Afal Pisha Chata Yisraelu, a Jew who's the child of Yisrael, of Yaakov Avinu, of our forefather Yaakov, no matter what he does wrong, is not going to get cut out. But they see Yosef is playing the move to cut them out. He's trying to steal all of our spiritual eternities and all of our descendants' spiritual eternities. Now, what's the rule in the Torah? If someone's coming to kill you, what does the Torah say? Turn the other cheek? I think not. It says that is the appropriate time for an AR-15. I know. I'm with you, but I'm not a big fan of AR-15s, okay? I'm a big fan of not AR-15s. That is the appropriate time for a Glock. Fair? Glock. Okay, fine. A 22. Okay? Alrighty. When someone's coming to kill you, if someone's in your house with a gun and they're coming to kill you, just yesterday they caught the California killer. This guy was a horrible serial killer and violator of people and horrific. And he would sneak into people's house in the middle of the night and kill families. Horrible. When that guy comes to your house, the Torah doesn't say turn the other cheek. The Torah says you kill him first. Habala hargecha, if someone's coming to kill you, hashkim v'hargo, you take him out first. So again, let's remember, in the Jewish way of thinking, your spiritual life and future is more important than your physical life and future. Number one. Number two, the Torah says if someone's threatening your physical life and future, you take him out. Which means, by derivation, of course if someone's threatening your spiritual life and future, you take them out, which, by the way, is the law in the Torah. The Torah says, in source number 12, we're not going to read it right now, but the Torah says if someone comes to you and tries to lead you astray, and tries to convince you to become a wicked person, you take him out. You bring him to court first, but you take him out. Now, that is what the brothers are doing. The brothers simply see Yosef as someone who's coming to rob them of all their spiritual legacy. Guess what, by the way? Who here, by raise of hand, is from the tribe of Yosef? Right? Almost nobody. Because as a matter of fact, the 10 tribes were exiled, and all that remained in Israel was the tribe of Judah, the tribe of Benjamin, and part of the tribe of Levi. So the reality is that probably all of us, there are some that may have come back, it's complicated, there were probably small portions of the 10 tribes that came back, but the reality is that probably the vast majority of us are from either, I know I'm a Leiby, so I'm from the tribe of Levi, but the vast majority of us in this room are probably from the tribe of Yehuda, Binyamin, or Leiby. Which means had Yosef had his way, we, as being the descendants of Yehuda, Yosef, and Leiby, we wouldn't be here today. Who knows if the Jewish people would have existed or continued. So the 12 tribes see the one tribe as an absolute threat to their spiritual future, and they say we got to take him out. Because he's threatening so much more than our lives. If he was planning on killing us, okay, it's one thing, but at least our kids will be the Jewish people forever and ever. He's trying to take away our entire spiritual destiny. As a matter of fact, you can see the source straight here in source number 13. The Sephorno, one of the great early commentators, on Genesis 37:25 says, and this occurred to them. Why did it occur to them that they should kill their brother? Because they thought of Yosef as a rodef, as a pursuer, as someone who was gunning for their spiritual lives. And whoever can kill him first merits. If you see somebody, if you walk outside and you see somebody running after somebody with a gun to kill them, what are you supposed to do? By Torah law, guess what? If I'm sitting here, we walk out of Prime 10, right over here, right now. We walk outside, and there's this guy running after somebody with a pickaxe. And he's saying, I'm going to kill you! I'm going to kill you! And he's running out, he's trying to trying to get him, and he keeps missing by a little bit. If you have a gun on you, which I assume most of you do, I'm coming here for crying out loud. If you have a gun on you, you're supposed to pull it out and pop, right? Take that guy out. Not only if someone's coming after you, but even if you see somebody going after somebody else, you're supposed to take them out. So here they see Yosef as a person gunning for their entire spiritual future. So they say, we got to take him out. Now, by the way, we only answered one question. The last of the questions, mind you, right? We asked 6 questions today. The last question was, how could the brothers want to take out Yosef? And we understand that now. We still have not answered 5 other questions. And that's going to be for next week. So I'm going to read them again so you know what kind of exciting stuff we're going to talk about next week. Number 1, is there a next week? There is a next week. No, next week, actually, I just realized you're right, is a Lag BaOmer special. Next week is Lag BaOmer, a special Jewish mini holiday. We're going to have a Lag BaOmer special, which means that we'll have to come back to this in 2 weeks. But let me give you those 5 questions one more time so you know how exciting it's going to be in 2 weeks. Here we go. Number 1, why is this called the history of Yaakov? Isn't this the history of Yosef and his brothers? Number 2, why did Yosef bring bad reports to his father? And especially, by the way, this question is strengthened now. If he was not trying to jockey for position, if he was trying to jockey for position, it makes a lot of sense. If he wasn't, what's going on there? Number 3, why did Yaakov love Yosef more? And why did he display favoritism to him? And that question has both the spiritual element where he taught him Torah that he didn't teach the rest of the brothers, and where he gave him special clothing and he didn't give to the rest of the brothers. And number 4, why, if he did teach him Torah, did he specifically teach him the Torah he learned in the yeshiva of Shem and Aver while he was holed up for 14 years before going into the chaos of Lavan? And lastly, we see that Yehuda, okay, the last 2 questions were answered. We said the brothers can handle a king when they see Yehuda is going to hold the scepter forever. Why can't they handle Joseph? And the answer is because they thought he was trying to jockey for the sole position as the only carrier of Yaakov's seed. That's why they couldn't handle him. So that question is answered. And why do they want to kill him is answered because they thought he was going for their entire spiritual legacy. And if someone's coming after you or your legacy and your spiritual future, you take that person out. So, we've covered some questions. At least now we understand. It seems, at least the one question, the biggest question is like, how could the brothers plot to kill their own brother? It seems to make a lot more sense now when you see what they were looking at. When you see what they were looking at as one brother coming to cut all of them out and all their spiritual futures out, he was literally gunning for them, and they felt we got to take out Yosef in self-defense. But we got a lot more to answer. In the meantime, again, we'll get back to this in 2 weeks. In the meantime, have a very, very wonderful week and a great Shabbos. Thank you very much.